A very good morning. I'm Karthik Malhotra. You're here with News 9 live over the next 30 minutes. All the top stories from the world of business and global markets making headlines this morning on 4th of January 2024. Stick around to World Business Report. Well, the U.S. stock indices closed 2024 second session down again in extended profit-taking on Wednesday after a strong end to 2023. While the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped over 0.7%, the S&P 500 was off 0.8%, and the Nasdaq fell nearly 1.2%. Take a look at this Reuters report.
U.S. stock indexes on Wednesday fell for another straight session in the second day of trading in 2024 after a strong end to 2023. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped over 0.7%, the S&P 500 was off 0.8%, and the Nasdaq fell nearly 1.2%. Stocks had surged into the end of last year on optimism that inflation was ebbing, the economy would avoid recession, and the Federal Reserve was ready to begin cutting interest rates. But that enthusiasm began to wane, and minutes from the Federal Reserve's December policy meeting released Wednesday further tempered expectations, says Anna Rathbun, Chief Investment Officer at CBIZ Investment Advisory Services.
December was really extraordinary. The Fed went to suggesting that there may be 3 rate cuts. They didn't say when in 2024, just the entire calendar year. And the market interpreted that as we've reached peak rates and now we're going to start cutting. And it became very aggressive in its expectations. Today's meeting minutes basically tell us that the Fed wasn't looking at it that dovishly, that relative to the market expectations, we are looking at a relatively hawkish Fed. And investors are walking some of that back.
The minutes released Wednesday shed little light on when rate cuts might commence. Financial stocks traded lower. Charles Schwab dropped 3% and Blackstone fell 4.6% after both were downgraded by Goldman Sachs from buy to neutral. But shares of Citigroup gained for a second straight day, rising 1.1% to its highest finish since mid-August 2022 on a price target upgrade and an upbeat analyst report from Wells Fargo a day earlier.
Well, a hawkish Fed commentary there continuing to play havoc on the U.S. markets. But the U.S. auto industry had its best year in sales in 2023 since the COVID-19 global health crisis rocked the auto industry. This thanks to easing supply snags and sustained demand driving sales. Well, who's on top? General Motors reported new vehicle sales of about 2.6 million units, up 14.1% from the previous year. Here's the report. Well, is this party going to continue with high interest rates is something we'll have to watch out for in 2023, even as EV penetration continues to be at just about 8% in the US. Will it go up thanks to Tesla, or is China's BYD going to continue to outshine even Tesla in 2024? Well, moving on, for now at least, from how AI helped drive gains for US stocks to why the top justice in the US says human judges aren't going anywhere. Here's a roundup of the big stories of the week in artificial intelligence. Take a look.
From how AI optimism drove US shares higher to why human judges aren't about to disappear. This is Generation AI. Firms betting big on artificial intelligence were among the big drivers behind US stock market gains last year. Chipmaker Nvidia was the standout, skyrocketing 240%. Facebook parent Meta did well too, jumping 188% for its biggest annual gain in 11 years. The New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft, saying they used millions of its articles to train chatbots without permission. It says damages could run into billions of dollars. The Times says it is the first major US media organization to sue the tech pair over copyright issues. Nvidia has launched a modified version of a gaming chip meant to comply with US controls on exports to China. The tech giant says it offers a quantum leap in AI-driven graphics and other capabilities. Some of its earlier chips have been blocked from sale in China by Washington's curbs. Rodin's famous sculpture of The Thinker has been reborn as a chatbot in Chile.
¿Qué opinas de la inteligencia artificial?
A metallic version of the artwork has been connected to AI in Santiago. The statue's creators say they hope it will help people address their fears over the tech. And AI looks like a mixed blessing for the legal field, according to US Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. In a year-end report, he said it could revolutionize legal research and help resolve cases more quickly and cheaply. But he also said the tech couldn't replicate human discretion and predicted human judges would be around for a while.
Well, will the thinking man continue to think in 2024, or is artificial intelligence going to take over all the thinking men and women out there? Well, reflecting on the thriving year of 2023, generative AI, led of course by none other than ChatGPT, captivated millions of users as well and led to investors keen to pour funds into AI-driven startups. However, concerns surfaced regarding the technology's potential risks to humanity, prompting calls for further study as the winners and losers of the AI age begin to surface. Here's a look at what to expect in 2024.
Generative artificial intelligence sparked both euphoria and existential dread in 2023 as ChatGPT became the fastest-growing consumer app ever. But as companies injected billions into startups, scientists and AI experts began sounding the alarm over AI's potential dangers.
And here we are for the first time, really in human history, with something that's going to be far more intelligent than us.
To realize the promise of AI and avoid the risk, we need to govern this technology.
Here's what to expect in the world of AI in 2024. From manufacturing to entertainment, nearly every industry has embraced the tech. Investors have poured $27 billion into generative AI startups, according to PitchBook. One estimate from consultancy PwC suggests AI-related economic impacts could spike to almost $16 trillion globally by 2030. That's nearly the gross domestic output of China. But a key question is whether the future of AI will continue to be deliberated behind closed doors by a privileged few in Silicon Valley. Regulators are determined to have a say. The EU's AI Act aims to establish guardrails for the tech. Britain and the US are drafting rules too.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
2024 is set to be the biggest election year in history, and AI could play an outsized role.
My name is Ashley, and I'm an artificial intelligence volunteer for
The tech has already been conscripted to make campaign calls in the U.S. But there is concern about AI-generated misinformation targeting voters. NewsGuard, a company that has a rating system for news and information sites, has already found over 600 unreliable AI-generated sites in multiple languages last year. The winners and losers of the AI era are only just emerging. Civil rights advocates have raised concerns over potential bias in fields such as recruitment. Unions worry about AI eliminating some jobs altogether, like writing computer code or drafting entertainment content. Among the winners, chipmaker NVIDIA, whose processors are the hottest commodity in the global AI race. And then there's Sam Altman. In the final months of 2023, the CEO of OpenAI, the nonprofit behind ChatGPT, was ousted only to be brought back days later. The spectacle became a debate over Altman's push to commercialize AI versus a slower approach.
Hi, everyone.
Team Altman won.
I think this will be the most transformative and beneficial technology humanity has yet.
So, well, if 2023 was all about experiencing AI as individuals, looks like 2024 is going to be the year of AI regulations and perhaps litigations against AI. But moving focus now to Germany, in fact, the first country in 2023 and the only large economy pretty much to officially go into recession, is seemingly coming out of the woods if unemployment data is to be believed. As 2023 came to an end, the number of unemployed people in Germany rose slightly in December, though by much less than analysts had expected. Now, the Federal Employment Agency said that the number of people out of work increased by 5,000 in seasonally adjusted terms to 2.7 million. Take a look.
Hallo? Ernst, war es eine Nachfrage oder
ein Geräusch?
Ein Signal? Ich glaube, es war ein Signal.
Guten Morgen und auch von meiner Seite aus wünsche ich Ihnen ein gutes neues Jahr. Wir hoffen, dass wir von Nürnberg...
All right, moving to what's happening, of course, in Tokyo after the horrific crash between an airliner and a smaller plane at Tokyo Airport. Investigations are now underway whether the crash involved professional negligence. Remember, the dramatic incident killed at least 5 on one plane while hundreds of passengers escaped the other, burning the aircraft to safety. Here's a report.
Japanese authorities on Wednesday began inspecting the charred wreckage at a Tokyo airport for clues on why a jetliner collided with a small rescue plane the evening before, killing at least 5 people, with local media reporting that police are probing for possible professional negligence. All 379 people made a miraculous escape from the Japan Airlines Airbus A350, which erupted into flames after colliding with a Coast Guard turboprop as the jet landed at Haneda on Tuesday evening. Only one of the 6 crew survived on the Bombardier Dash 8, which was on a mission to send aid to the country's west following Monday's deadly earthquake. A Japan Safety Transport Board official told reporters on Wednesday investigators had recovered the Dash 8's flight recorder, but were not sure what data could be extracted from it. Sources say the regulators working on the investigation with French and British agencies, where the A350 and its Rolls-Royce engines were built. Airbus said it was sending technical advisors to help with the probe. Separately, police say they've set up a special unit at the airport to examine the incident, but declined to comment on the report of a negligence probe. In a statement on Tuesday, Japan Airlines said its aircraft recognized and repeated the landing permission from air traffic control before approaching and touching down. According to air traffic control recordings, the jetliner was cleared to land just minutes before authorities say the collision took place. In an interview on Wednesday, airline passenger Aruto Iwama recalled the horror of the crash, saying he was scared to death.
I felt strong shaking at landing, and when I looked at the window, I saw sparks flying and burning. And then the plane stopped. In less than 1 minute, the cabin was full of smoke. Then the cabin attendant led us out, and we escaped via the slide.
Iwama credited the flight attendants for keeping control of the situation, saying that despite some screaming, people were mostly calm and waited for guidance to leave the plane. I think that's why we were able to escape smoothly, he said. This is the first significant accident involving the Airbus A350, Europe's premier twin-engined long-haul jet that entered service in 2015. It comes after a US-based safety group warned last month about the risk of runway collisions, or so-called incursions. The Flight Safety Foundation had called for global action to prevent a new uptick in runway incursions as skies become more congested.
Well, time for a very short break right here on World Business Report. But on the other side, the chip war may not be restricted to China and US alone. Stick around to News9 Live.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back here with World Business Report. Well, computer chip equipment maker ASML's shares fell 2.5% on the first trading day of 2024 following Netherlands partially revoking an export license for the shipment of some of its machines to China. Here's a look at that report.
Dutch authorities have cracked down on what Europe's top tech firm can send to China. Computer chip equipment maker ASML said Tuesday the Netherlands had partially revoked an export license. It targeted the shipment of some machines to China. It also took aim at some gear in a model range Dutch authorities said had required a license since September last year. That followed pressure from Washington about clamping down on semiconductor equipment sent to China. It was unclear how many machines would be affected by the cancellation, although ASML said it would not have a major impact on 2023 earnings. In recent years, China has been the firm's third largest market, but was the biggest in the third quarter of last year. Beijing wasn't happy with the latest decision. On Wednesday, the Foreign Ministry called on the Netherlands to protect the common interests of both countries and their companies. A spokesman for the Dutch Foreign Ministry said Tuesday it reviews export license requests on a case-by-case basis on national security grounds. ASML shares were down around 2% on Wednesday morning.
All right, well, staying with China and China's technology sector, well, China's gaming stocks experienced a surge in response to reports of a regulatory watchdog being ousted. Beijing cracked down heavily on its own gaming sector in 2021, setting very strict playtime limits for under-18s. The latest proposals revived concern over aggressive regulation just when authorities had been trying to revive private sector investment in the country. Take a look.
Shares in China's big gaming firms jumped on Wednesday. That followed reports that Beijing had removed a top regulator responsible for a crackdown on the sector. Tencent stock gained around 1% by afternoon, with rival NetEase up by a similar amount. That contrasts with a fall of around 1% for Hong Kong's benchmark Hang Seng Index. Reuters sources say watchdog Feng Shixin was removed from his post last week. He had overseen regulation of the country's vast gaming sector. 5 sources say his departure was linked to rules set out in December, which were meant to curb spending and the use of rewards to encourage game playing. The measures sparked a plunge in related stocks, wiping nearly $80 billion off the value of China's top two gaming firms. Days later, authorities struck a more conciliatory tone, saying they would study how to improve the proposals. Now analysts say Feng's exit looks like a goodwill gesture to the sector. However, there was no comment on the report from the Chinese government, and Reuters wasn't able to contact Feng for a response. Beijing cracked down heavily on its gaming sector in 2021, setting strict playtime limits for under-18s. The latest proposals revived concern over aggressive regulation, just when the authorities had been trying to revive private sector investment in the country.
All right, well, moving on. The United States is expected to reopen 4 legal U.S.-Mexico border crossings on Thursday. According to U.S. officials, lawmakers in Washington remain in talks over a possible deal that would combine increased border security measures with foreign aid, including military funding for Ukraine. Here's that report.
4 legal U.S.-Mexico border crossings will be reopened by the United States on Thursday, as high levels of illegal immigration have receded and freed up personnel. That's according to U.S. border authorities, who said operations will resume at an international bridge in Eagle Pass, Texas, 2 crossings in Arizona, and another near San Diego, California. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection added that it will continue to prioritize border security as necessary. U.S. officials said lawmakers in Washington remain in talks over a possible deal that would combine increased border security measures with foreign aid, including military funding for Ukraine. Upon his arrival at the White House late Tuesday, President Joe Biden urged Congress to authorize border security funding.
You gotta do something. You gotta give me the money I need to protect the border.
In December, U.S. border authorities struggled to process migrants, as apprehensions reached nearly 11,000 in a single day, which several current and former officials said was near or at a record high. Just last week, Mexican and U.S. officials pledged to work together more closely to tackle record migration at their shared border, after top U.S. officials traveled to Mexico to meet with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Mexico cheered the news of the planned reopening of the border crossings. In a statement, Mexico's foreign ministry, which had previously called for the reopening of crossings, said assuming operations at the 4 entry points will, quote, benefit the economies of both countries.
All right, staying on with the U.S., Harvard University's President Claudine Gay announced her resignation due to the controversy surrounding allegations of plagiarism and her handling of the anti-Semitism on campus during the Israel-Hamas conflict. Remember, 53-year-old Gay became the first black president of the 368-year-old Harvard in July. Take a look.
Harvard President Claudine Gay on Tuesday said she would resign from her position, ending a 6-month tenure marred by allegations of plagiarism and backlash over her congressional testimony about anti-Semitism on campus on December 5th.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
At the testimony, Gay and other university presidents were criticized for failing to definitively say that calls for the genocide of Jews constituted bullying and harassment on campus. Gay, the first black president in Harvard's 388-year history, had come under pressure to resign from Harvard's Jewish community and some members of Congress over her comments, while also facing several allegations of plagiarism for her academic work in recent months. In a letter to the Harvard community, Gay said her decision to step down had been difficult beyond words, adding, quote, after consultation with members of the Harvard Corporation, it has become clear that it is in the best interest of Harvard for me to resign, so that our community can navigate this moment of extraordinary challenge with a focus on the institution rather than any individual. The Harvard Corporation, the university's 11-member governing body, said in an email to the community that its members had accepted Gay's resignation with sorrow, and that the school's provost and chief academic officer, Alan Garber, would take over as interim president.
All right, and as we end, Oscar winner series Schitt's Creek creator and 4-time Emmy winner Dan Levy is showing off a more serious side of himself as part of a multi-year film in Good Grief with Netflix. Take a look.
I've been reading that the brain is like a muscle. That's why getting over a death is so hard. Because your brain has been trained to feel things for a person.
And I think it's very rare to be given an opportunity to do something so different from what people know you to do. And that takes a leap of faith from the people, in this case, from Netflix, to greenlight something that's so different.
You've become my ceiling.
I wanted to thank you both for this year. I would like to take us to Paris for the weekend. We all deserve some joy.
Well, we spent a few weeks together before we started shooting, sort of just sitting in Dan's apartment, talking through the script, talking through our characters. We went away for a weekend. We did the Crystal Maze escape room together in London.
Do you remember the Crystal Maze?
Yeah, that really just created a bond between the three of us that we could then adapt into the film, I think.
It's time to hatch, my little puffling. Open that card, cry it out, throw on something expensive and meet us there.
Well, with that, it's a wrap right here on World Business Report. But news and updates continue on News 9 Live. So don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Pakistani spy agency ISI's sinister plan to target India. Training women to honey trap top civil and military officials. Counter honey trapping ops initiated by India. But gullible victims still caught in the web. Top military intelligence experts break down the web of deception. Colonel Hani Bakshi explains the phenomena of honey trap.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who's making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person.
Colonel Pavitran Rajan decodes the psyche of the victim and the predator.
But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
A News9 special on how modern technology has added teeth to the ancient spying tactic.
Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and this is the top story that we're tracking for you this news hour. According to official sources, the Enforcement Directorate is currently reviewing Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's response to his refusal to appear before the agency. There is a possibility that the Enforcement Directorate might issue its fourth summons to him as part of the investigation into the alleged excise policy case. Now, only late on Wednesday night, Delhi ministers Atishi and Saurabh Bhardwaj, they had taken to the microblogging website X, formerly known as Twitter, and raised concerns suggesting that the Enforcement Directorate would conduct a raid on Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence today with the potential arrest looming large. Amid the arrest speculations, both routes to Arvind Kejriwal's and according to sources, access to the Chief Minister's house was also restricted early in the morning, and even the residence staff had faced entry restrictions. Meanwhile, it's important to note here that Arvind Kejriwal is going to be on his way to Gujarat ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. On the other hand, even amid these Enforcement Directorate concerns for the Aam Aadmi Party chief convener, it seems like Main Bhi Kejriwal campaign, something that the Aam Aadmi Party ran in the first few weeks of December last year, it seemed to have hit off, asking people, going door to door, asking them whether they would want Arvind Kejriwal to continue as Chief Minister, even as the possibility and potential of arrests loom large. And well, moving on, NCP Sharad Pawar faction leader Jitendra Ahad has stirred controversy with his statement that Lord Ram was a non-vegetarian, sparking tensions as the BJP demands a ban on non-vegetarian food on the 22nd of January, which also happens to be the consecration day of the Ram temple in Ayodhya. Now, Ahad had claimed that Lord Ram was a Bahujan, a non-vegetarian hunter. He defended his comments, stating that Lord Ram was never a vegetarian as he couldn't live in the jungle for 14 years being a vegetarian. BJP's Ram Kadam has criticized Ahad's statement, highlighting a letter to the Chief Minister for a dry and vegetarian day on the 22nd of January.
भगवान श्री राम पर विवादास्पद बयान देने के बाद में जितेंद्र आवाड़ पर लोगों का गुस्सा फूटा है। खासतौर पर बीजेपी जो है प्रदर्शन कर रही है, एफआईआर दर्ज करने की मांग कर रही है। लेकिन सर, सवाल ये है, आपने एप्लीकेशन दिया, पुलिस ने एफआईआर क्यों नहीं लिया?
नहीं, एप्लीकेशन देने के बाद वो जो वीडियो फुटेज है, वीडियो फुटेज की जांच होती है, एफआईआर लेने की प्रक्रिया है, वो प्रक्रिया का आरंभ हो चुका है।
क्या पुलिस ने को आपने ये बताया कि जो वीडियो फुटेज है वो उनके ऑफिशियल हैंडल पर है? ये
मैंने स्वयं वो फुटेज उनको दिया, तो उसकी एफआईआर दर्ज करने की प्रक्रिया का आरंभ हो चुका है। वो प्रक्रिया भी पूर्ण होगी और आवाड़ जी की गिरफ्तारी भी होगी।
सरकार आपकी है, होम मिनिस्टर आपके हैं, अभी तक कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं हुई?
नहीं, सरकार प्रभु रामचंद्र जी के दिए हुए राम राज्य पर चलने वाली महाराष्ट्र की वर्तमान सरकार है। यह सरकार सबकी है।
कब होगी कार्रवाई?
उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई का आरंभ हो चुका है।
गिरफ्तारी होगी?
एफआईआर की जो प्रक्रिया है वो आरंभ हो गई।
गिरफ्तारी होगी कि नहीं?
गिरफ्तारी जरूर होगी।
कौन से सेक्शन के तहत कार्रवाई चल रही
है? अब पुलिस तय करेगी कौन सी आईपीएस धारा लगती है, उन्होंने कौन कौन सी बातों का खंडन, ये बातों को तोड़ा है, कानूनी बातों को तोड़ा है, वो सब पुलिस कार्रवाई करेगी।
ऐसे आवेदन हमने देखा कई थानों में दिया गया, कल थाने में दिया गया, शिरडी में दिया गया, लेकिन एफआईआर कहीं भी नहीं हुई है।
घाटकों पर चिरागनगर पुलिस थाने में एफआईआर होगी। एफआईआर यदि करने में, मैं जैसा बता चुका हूं, ये राम राज्य पर चलने वाली सरकार है। इस भूमि पर हम किसी भी धर्म की भावनाओं को हम आहत होने नहीं देंगे और यदि कोई करता है तो उसे छोड़ेंगे।
एक आखिरी सवाल, क्यों इस तरह का विवादास्पद बयान ऐसे समय में दिया जा रहा है जब 22 जनवरी को राम मंदिर का उद्घाटन होना है?
इनसे देखा नहीं जा रहा राम मंदिर, इनसे देखा नहीं जा रहा है कि उनकी दुकानें बंद हो रही है।
तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति,
तुष्टीकरण की तो राजनीति है ही है। उद्धव हो, राहुल गांधी हो, सबकी चुप्पी बताती है कि इनको राम मंदिर देखा नहीं जा रहा।
उद्धव का हिंदुत्व लेकिन चुप है।
उद्धव का हिंदुत्व कब था?
Now over Jitendra Ahad's statement, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Chief Priest Acharya Satyendra Das criticized his statement as well, asserting that scriptures indicate Lord Ram consumed fruits during his exile.
एनसीपी के जो नेता जितेंद्र आवाड़ बोल रहे हैं वो बिल्कुल गलत है, झूठा बोल रहा है। कभी भी किसी शास्त्र में ऐसा नहीं लिखा है कि भगवान जब वनवास गए थे तो मांसाहारी थे, और सभी जगह लिखा है कंदमूल फल खाते थे। वो 14 वर्ष तक जो वनवास में रहे वहाँ सभी प्रकार के जो कंदमूल और फल मिलते थे वही खाते थे, शाकाहारी थे। और हमारे शास्त्रों में उसका वर्णन है और शास्त्र ही प्रमाण है। इसलिए जो जितेंद्र बोल रहे हैं कि एनसीपी के नेता कि भगवान राम 14 वर्ष वनवास में रहे तो वहाँ वो मांसाहारी थे, यह झूठ है, एकदम गलत है। और इसे झूठे आदमी को हमारे प्रभु के अपमान करने का और उनके करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है, क्योंकि भगवान सबके हैं, लेकिन सबके होते हुए उनके खान पान के विषय में जो बोल रहा है यह झूठ बोल रहा है, एकदम असत्य है।
Meanwhile, police captured black flags that were brought by the BJP workers protesting Our HUD's statement. Activists tore Our HUD's posters, disrupting traffic. Several activists were detained for sloganeering right outside the police station, demanding Jitendra's arrest. Well, moving on, taking a look at some other political developments as well. The YSR TP chief and Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister's sister, YS Sharmila, has now officially joined the Congress party in presence of party president Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi in the national capital. Now, this decision follows Sharmila's unsuccessful attempt to merge her party with the Telangana Congress last year. And there has been speculation that the Congress is keen on Sharmila assuming a leadership role in Andhra Pradesh, potentially serving as an effective counterforce to her brother, the current Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, YS Jagan Mohan Reddy. While addressing the press, Sharmila expressed that her father would likely have taken pride in seeing his daughter walking in his footsteps.
And Congress President and
today I am very happy to be merging YSR Telangana party into the Congress party. Any more from the Congress party gives me great delight. Dr. Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, the legendary leader of the Telugu people, not only served the Congress party all his life, but also gave his life serving the Congress party. And today it would give him great joy that his daughter is following in his footsteps and is going to be a part of the Congress party itself. The Congress party